Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, King J, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now, let's go, baby. Now, as we continue on for the season 3 of The Mandalorian on the Disney Plus, this is the episode 6 review, and it is a spoilers. So if you have not seen the series yet, because we're getting down pretty close to the season finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian, pause this, give me a thumbs up, because that would definitely help this channel grow and have more audience. Go watch The Mandalorian season 3. Season 1 and 2. If you haven't, watch it so you can understand. And I would love you guys to come back and listen to this spoiler review. So, again, you've been warned. Let's get into it. This episode goes back with the main story of the Mandalorians to the Forge. And this episode starts off with Ella Kane sneaks out to call Moff Gideon to inform him how the Mandalorians are planning to rise again after the 10,000 Tears Wars. And we see that how the old tradition versus the new tradition of the Mandalorians are coexisting. And for whatever reason, we find out there is a spy. But obviously the title of episode 6 is called Spies. So, some way, somehow, Moff Gideon gets a lot of this information of what they're trying to do and what they're going to do back in their home planet. And he obviously knows that there's going to be some really intentions that's building up. And, you know, before all this, we see that Bo-Katan asks for volunteers, and it looks like both sides all accept. Even the armor herself even wants to join this. But before that, we get a funny scene of Grogu gets a gift that was once IG-11 that goes to IG-12 now, so Grogu can operate it with 2 buttons saying yes and no. And of course, it's funny, it's cute, it makes you laugh, and obviously this is going to be a toy grabber making machine like Hasbro and any other Funko Pops. There's going to be a bunch of statues and, again, Funko Pops and whatever Hasbro has to make for action figures of Grogu. So that's what that was. But again, funny scene. What else? We see that when they're walking down, Grogu's just being like a kid, you know, playing, eating food, and then, you know, you see Din Djarin have to pay for what he's eating, you know, just funny little kid stuff. And then we get to see how the Mandalorians get to meet more surviving Mandalorians, and these are the people who stayed on their home planet. And I thought it was very interesting because, like I said, it was early, there was a lot of tension building up, and we learned that Moff Gideon was using this as part of his advantage because, you know, even though that, you know, he was talking to the Shadow Council, who are just a group of people from the Dark Sith, basically, and they all have this meeting, and you'll see some recognizable ones that I just forgotten the name. And you'll see like the younger siblings of maybe some popular ones in this group, and it's, you know, obviously it's kind of a cheesy name, like it's just pretty much saying like, yeah, we know we're the bad guys type thing. I mean, it's a lot better name than a lot of the Star Wars names that have been given in the past, so I'm not gonna complain about that. But I just thought it was just kind of funny. And, you know, they're talking about how each individual has their own independent resource or getting resources their own way. And Moff Gideon, calls out and says, "Hey, where's this Thawne? Where's Thawne at? Y'all keep talking about it, but he's not here." And obviously Moff Gideon's showing some he's not too thrilled about this guy, and he thinks Moff Gideon just thinks he needs to be the head honcho of this whole operation. He needs to be the new leader of Order 66, and he's going to be the new guy who's going to bring back the Empire, make it rise again. And so he's very, very, very keen on getting rid of the Mandalorians, even though the other members of this group are wondering why the Mandalorians. They think they get them, but obviously they're not very well aware of how good the Mandalorians are good at hiding in plain sight. So, but Moff Gideon obviously sees the Mandalorians as a threat. So this kind of goes back to what was going on, and now we know there's a rat, there's a snitch in the Mandalorians, because yes, now you have we got the old tradition of Mandalorians who like to keep their helmet on for old traditional ways, but we have the new ones who don't, the new traditional way, where they don't wear helmets, and Bo-Katan is one of them because she walked both worlds, so hence the others have too as well. And we see a little scuffle, and I thought it was pretty funny for Grogu to be the one to break up the fight between X-Wolves and Pal Vizsla, and this hitting the no button. And I'm pretty sure they made that scene just for that. Grogu and that IG-12 operating machine of his now. And I'm just curious if they're ever going to. I know they said the motherboard chip doesn't really exist, but who said it doesn't? They think they don't exist, but it may do exist. Somebody in this galaxy can probably still make that. So I think there's still a chance for IG-12 to go back to IG-11, but they never really talked upon that. As all the Mandalorians get together, get on this pirate ship. It's literally like a pirate ship that flies in outer space, which that's pretty cool. They're pretty much there. Wow, that's amazing. Very creative. I like seeing that in Star Wars, stuff like that. But they go down in the forge, and it's a trap. And some way, somehow, Moff Gideon has built a secret headquarters. And Moff Gideon has Mandalorian armor. He's talking about he's bringing the dark stormtroopers. We see new stormtrooper outfits, like a new design, and I'm wondering where those come from, which they never really explain, because if you look at the latest Star Wars movie films with Kylo Ren and Rey, they still have the traditional stormtrooper Clone Wars outfit. Just as your classic villain, Moff Gideon explains his reason why and what's his plan, and that he feels like he can take all the best traits out of each Jedi, Mandalorian, Stormtroopers, all that, and make the better version to help start rebuild the Empire and all that. So it's very very ballsy of him, and obviously this is his master plan. We see that the Din Djarin gets captured by them, and I was curious what he's gonna do with them. Maybe he's gonna brainwash him and witch a soldier his brain to command him. Maybe that's a possibility. Paz Vizsla makes his epic sacrifice of himself to save the others because they get trapped, and luckily Grogu, Bo-Katan, and the rest get out, and now it seems like Bo-Katan is going to be the one that saves Din Djarin. and it's gonna be cool. I think. What I think about the ultimate sacrifice is, I think that it just shows you that the Mandalorians have been blinded by their ways, and now that we see this, we now the main question is who did what, who said who, and who's working for who is the main question. And what does this mean for Grogu without, you know, his dad, and these are the main. And let's talk about the Praetorian guards. Now, like I say, you're if people who saw the newer Star Wars movies with like Kylo Ren and Rey and all them, um, that's where you kind of remember them. But I thought it was very cool, and it makes sense of like when they were made, when the design, who came up with the ideas, and obviously it was the Dark Sith, it was the Empire, and we see that these are people who are no joke, but they were protecting Moff Gideon as they did, and boy, they killed Paz Vizsla, and that that was an interesting thing to see that show up, and it kind of okay, it does. You gotta be careful because even I was gonna say it, but it kind of indicates how close they are in timeline before those newer Star Wars movies. You kind of see they're not as close to them, but I see where they were. This is kind of like the beginning of those guards, basically, and this we kind of know that it seems like this their all red armor comes from the Mandalorian armor, the materials that they use and stuff, and because of course that's what Moff Gideon's is outfits made of. And it's very interesting, like from theirs to even his helmet has the same spikes like the armor, and it's real easy to for me. I was gonna say I'm really shocked that they're hinting that she's the one that betraying the Mandalorian. I thought she was gonna be the big bad villain, but not in this way. I thought maybe the idea of why she let Bo-Katan and allow her to choose to have her helmet on or off. I thought she was gonna purposely start a war between the old traditional way of the Mandalorian versus the new traditional way of the Mandalorian. And I thought they were gonna go that route with her, but for the reason why she would do that, I wasn't sure, but I thought maybe she was trying to protect something or keep her spot. I was not sure. But with this kind of indicates to her that she's loyal to the Empire and that she's been on the dark side the whole time. But when, I don't know. But it didn't indicate because she took some of the injured Mandalorians back to the main ship, aboard their ship. And I just thought that was pretty interesting because, you can either say, well, she wasn't aware of it or she was. So for me, I'm going to say that I think she is one of the spies because in this, they called this episode the Spies. So they have S at the end of that, at the word spy. So it's Pearl. So who's the second one? And it could either be Bo-Katan, it could be the ones who stayed on the home planet. Maybe it was them. Maybe they had it, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure with that. But a lot of questions. But this was a really great episode as far as what I liked about it. Do I? Here's one question I'm gonna put out. Will Thawne kill Moff Gideon? I would say yes because Moff Gideon in this one, I wasn't surprised, but he is doing all this to rank up. He wants to take the spot that Thawne is gonna get. And Moff Gideon thinks he's more deserving of it because everybody in that shadow counseling is all about Thawne. But they mention him, he wasn't there, and they're not going to show him yet. But I think Moff Gideon wants to be the main leader. He wants to be the one who, controls the new Order 66, the new Empire, whatever. I think, because even like some of those guys are still obsessed with the cloning, and maybe they want to clone another Palpatine or younger version. Who knows? And so they kind of all have their own hidden agendas and what they want, what they think will be valued to the new empire, to rise back of the empire. To make the dark side even more stronger. And obviously, this is before like the Kylo Ren, but it's getting close to it. I also just thought it was interesting. It made me think of how close this is in timeline. Obviously, not very close, but I mean pretty close to it, as I was saying, because he mentions the Dark Troopers, which that is a thing now, and I'm really curious to see where that's gonna go because, again, the stormtroopers are still a thing in the Star Wars, but they see those other new. Well, not. I guess it would be kind of new technically. It's new to them to see an upgraded version of the stormtroopers armor that you saw when they got ambushed when they ambushed the Mandalorians, and so I kind of get the idea that Moff Gideon is the guy that got the designs, and they're designing more of their suits and getting the same type of metal materials that the Mandalorians use because they have learned that this stuff pretty works and they can take some hits. And that's one thing you want to do in a war, right? It's survive the shooting bullets or laser beams or whatever. So there's that. And I think that's pretty cool because that kind of makes sense. It makes sense of like how far in timeline season 3 is with for the Mandalorian within the Star Wars timeline, and now we're kind of catching up to the now, but not too much. We're still in the past. If you're watching this, you're still in the past. Same thing with like the Bad Batch and the Tales of the Jedi. You're still in the past. You're still in the before. Like you're after the prequels. You're after, the Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. You're after the Darth Vader era, but it's still, you're still someone in the past. So I get that, but we're getting close to the now. Right? We're on the path of it, and I think that's pretty cool. And I think that was very clear. And it makes it very clear to understand that. So with Thawne again, I kind of just want to bring up. It's why I think Thawne will kill Moff Gideon is because even though this is all a good idea, it makes Moff Gideon look tough and badass. But I think Thawne is someone who is more closer to like the way he thinks more of the way like Palpatine and Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker, think, because I think they see things a little bit differently versus Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is more about himself. He's doing this to turn on his others, and I think that's the difference. Thawne is the favorite. Thawne has politically worked this. Moff Gideon's trying to work the system in an evil like cult way, basically secret society way. And obviously that's why I think Thawne is gonna always have the upper hand on Moff Gideon. So that because I'll even say it. I think that it won't even be none of the Mandalorians. I think it'll be Thawne who's gonna get Moff Gideon. I think he's gonna be the one who's gonna take him out. whether it happens this season or in a different Star Wars show or movie. But I think Thrawn is going to be the one who's going to get Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon's going to want to change all their plans to make his plan work. So that's where I see that kind of going with that. But again, this was a great episode. This was a lot better than the last episode. So I'm definitely 1 out of 10. I'm giving this an 8. Great episode. Really enjoyed this. I'm enjoying season 3 just because I'm watching like Bo-Katan, you know, come up. She's now a leader, and I think with the armor, I think now we're gonna see Bo-Katan be in charge of the whole Mandalorian group. So definitely excited for that, and I can't wait to see if Grogu really gets masterminds the IG-12 robot operate suit of his, and I hope that he can learn how to run faster, do maybe some cool combat fighting style with that. I think that'd be cool. So I'm hoping to see stuff like that. So that is my review for this. Thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit the notification button. You can always update with all my latest content. Thank you, and peace.